You know how you think that you have an idea and you think that'd be a great thing to do, but you don't ever do it? This happens to a lot of people, but you're looking at one guy that did it. Here's what happened. Every year, up in Alaska where I grew up, we have this 24th of July picnic. So, the idea is we go out and we have a lot of fun always on the 24th of July. And I was in church, and all the adults are always volunteering to bring stuff, and all the kids just sort of hang around and do things. Well, this year, I was 16 years old, and they said, okay, who's going to bring what to the picnic? And the whole idea came to me in just an instant. And I said, I'll bring cookies. And everybody looked at me and said, oh, right, Dwayne, you're growing up, you're a man now. You are bringing stuff to the picnic. And I said, yeah. And so I went home, and I called up well, I actually didn't have any phone, but I went and I grabbed my best friend Clyde and I said, Clyde, you got to help me make cookies. And he said, sure, what? And I said, we got to go get some moose droppings. And he said, really? Moose droppings? I said, yeah. And so we went out and we collected moose droppings. Now, for those of you not from Alaska and that don't know this, there's different kinds of moose droppings. There's different qualities, different kinds. And the kind that you really wanted, the kind I was looking for, are the ones that aren't too fresh, soft and a little bit mushy, and not too dried out, a little flaky. We want some that are just right. Nice size, good even quality. And I grabbed a bunch of those, and Clyde helped me. We got a whole pile of these things. And I took them home, and I baked them in the oven for 350 degrees for like half an hour. Nice and toasty, crispy. Just perfect. And then I coated them with chocolate. Now, somehow or other, I managed to do it perfectly the very first time, and I made myself a great big platter full of almond clusters made with moose droppings. And they looked awesome. It was amazing. I couldn't believe how well it had turned out. And then the day came, and Clyde said, I'm not going. I said, why not? And he said, because I'm not going. I said, well, you wimp. And so I went and I put my cookies in my Volkswagen, and I drove to my girlfriend's house. And she got in. She was going to the picnic with me. She got in, and I handed her the cookies to hold, and I said, don't eat any of those. And she said, why not? I said, they're moose drop cookies, but you can't tell anybody. She says, what? No way. And she just was disgusted with me at that point. She couldn't believe that I would actually do such a thing. So when we got to the picnic, it was on a beach, by the way, she got out of the car and just disappeared in the crowd. Just said, no, not going to do this. And I took the cookies, and I went down toward the beach, and of course there was all the church ladies were there, and they had plywood sheets laid out. It must have been 20, 30 foot of plywood tables sitting out there on the beach. And they came up to me and said, oh, you made cookies? And I said, yeah. And so they took the cookies and they put them on the plywood table. And then I went over and I sat on a log to watch the festivities. Now, there was actually quite a big deal at this beach party, because there's like 200 people there. Keeping in mind that I grew up in a town of 300, this was a major turnout. We had a lot of stuff going on. There were people and kids everywhere. Now, it was actually at a bigger town. The little town I grew up in, small, but so it was a big town, so we had a high school and everything. And I was watching all this, and people must have thought I was a little high or something, because normally I'm out doing stuff and talking to people and, playing around. But there I was sitting on a log off to the side just giggling. They must have figured I'd done something. But there I was just sitting on a log giggling, and everybody else watching everybody go and do stuff. Because my cookies were a hit. In fact, they were so good, I had people coming by with handfuls of them telling me how good they were. That didn't help my giggling at all, anybody, but I kept it going. And there's a couple hundred people on the beach, and I saw the moment of discovery. I was actually looking at my high school principal when he bit into one and then looked on the inside. And he went, ugh, when he realized what he was eating. And the news of that cookie spread like wildfire. It would just flashed through the entire crowd, and everybody swiveled their head and looked at me. But I wasn't there because I'd fallen off the log. I was laughing so hard on the backside. That's approximately when my girlfriend showed up, because everybody rushed over, grabbed me. A bunch of the big guys grabbed me, and they're going to throw me in the ocean. And she showed up just in time to keep my wallet so it wouldn't get wet. And then they threw me in the ocean. Now, the story doesn't end there, because every year after that, every time we got around to the 24th of July picnic and who's going to bring what, I would start to raise my hand, and everybody would look at me with one motion and say, no, you don't bring anything, ever. You can come on, you can come, you can enjoy the stuff, but you don't bring stuff to the picnic. That went on for years. So that's the story of a guy who thought of an idea and did it.